Hello everybody and welcome to This Nintendo Life, episode 316. My name is NBZ and I am a very sensible person, a very responsible with my money, adult, definitely not buying stupid things that I will use once, which is to say, Bally, that I 6 months ago made the great decision to purchase a Virtual Boy from Nintendo.
Yes.
And this week it arrived, so I have not yet opened it. It actually arrived back in Harrow, so I had to go back there. Picked it up. I brought it the next day to work, and then I took it home with me. I actually haven't opened it yet because I'm playing another thing before I want to play that thing, which we'll get into as the whole thing. Yeah, you know, people have been talking about the Virtual Boy again. It exists, and I'm interested to see how it goes. It turns out, you know how people were saying, like, well, why Nintendo? Can you not just let people play it just regularly on a screen? And it turns out that the reason for that is that the way they display it is that they only display it in the eyeball mode, so it's two circles that show up on the screen when you load up the Virtual Boy. So it's not like you can put it into like non-Virtual Boy mode, which would be sensible, you know, just put it into a 2D mode. But no, when it loads up, it looks like that apparently. So, which also means that if you have a Labo, the old Labo stuff, you can actually play Virtual Boy on that without the red filter, so you can just see it in its regular glory. So, I think you threw that away, didn't you? Because we bought that together, and then I built it and then played with it for a bit and then gave it to you, and then you did the same, and then I think you threw it away.
I built something smaller that you kept for me.
Yes.
And then, my parents moved house, and it did not make it across the move. I'm pretty sure I proactively chucked it out in that move, but don't have space.
Most expensive piece of cardboard that we'll ever pay for.
Hey, got a fun out of it. It's all good.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. There were some cool games in there, and I guess now I technically could play those on the Virtual Boy if I wanted. So I have a way to play those games if I want, those Labo games, which would be quite nice. So yes, I hope that I'll be able to talk about the Virtual Boy next time on the show. That I'll have put some time into whatever the hell they have there. You know, there's one game that I obviously want to play on my quest to play every Wario game, Bally, but there's some other things that were announced, you know, like they're doing a new, or they're reviving old Virtual Boy games that were never released and are re-releasing them, which includes a game that is ostensibly part of an F-Zero lineage, as well as another game that was made by Intelligent Systems back in the day. So a couple of interesting ones that I'm curious, you know, later down the line when they put them on the service to check out. But I'll go through the lineup, and hopefully we can discuss that next time. But today we're going to be discussing other things. Bally, what will those things be?
For the first segment, we're going to talk about the games that we have been playing, and then for the second segment, we are going to get to some listener emails.
Yes, a nice regular show. So let's get into it and talk about the games that we have been playing. The reason I have not opened the Virtual Boy, Bally, is because I have other business with Wario to attend to. We've talked about on the show before, I would say, like, we're both more into Wario and DK than, like, Mario generally as a platforming franchise from Nintendo. I would say I'm more of a Wario boy, you're more of a DK boy, but together we are like the anti-Mario Kirby brigade, because we like the beefy, heavier, weightier, let's say, characters rather than...
Maybe throw Yoshi in there as well? Like, Nintendo do love a bit of Yoshi at the moment.
They do. I guess we kind of sit a bit in the middle on Yoshi. Neither of us are like that crazy about it, but also Yoshi's Island is very good. So like they have made.
I think we've both played Yoshi's Island and Woolly World, and I think that might be it.
Yes, because I've not played Crafted World, and I've not played Yoshi's Island 2, which no one likes.
No. There was another one that I think after that or something. I can't remember.
But... Well, no, they announced the mysterious book that's coming, which is the third. I think this will be the third.
But wasn't there Yoshi's Island on the DS and then another one on the 3DS?
Yes, Yoshi's New Island, right?
Maybe
on the 3DS.
Like
I think you're right. Yoshi's New Island.
Tell you what was a good Yoshi game was Yoshi's Touch and Go. That
classic
high score video game. We both enjoyed
the most mobile ass game that we thought was great when we were kids.
I tried playing that game on a plane, and the amount of background noise meant that my cloud streams that I constantly would draw would just constantly get blown away, and I couldn't turn the sensitivity low enough to stop my cloud streams blowing away.
Oh right, because the microphone would get rid of them.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah, what a fun game. That lasted for about 15 minutes.
2007, 6. Long time ago.
God, the early days of the DS was pretty wild.
Only 20 years ago.
Yeah, a little time back.
Anyway, tangent. But yeah.
Any big tangent. Anyway, we like those games. It's been, I'd say for a while, Bally, I've wanted to play every Wario game that there is in terms of like the mainline 2D games, the Wario Land games, of which I have played all of them at this point in time. Wario Land 1, which of course is Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land 1. God, what a weird lineage. And then Wario Land 2 I also played, which is probably my least favorite. Wario Land 3 is also a Game Boy game, so 3 of them are Game Boy games. Wario Land 4, of course, we know on the GBA, which is definitely one of the best GBA games. One of the first games we played.
4 must be your favorite, right?
Actually, Shake Dimension is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
I'd say Shake Dimension and 4 are very similar in terms of my ranking. And then 1, probably I think 1 is number 3 for me. But yeah, I think all of them are really, really good, those 5 games. And there, obviously, there's the Virtual Boy Wario Land that no one has really played because it has been very hard to, but that is part of the series, so obviously I want to play that. But there is a Wario game, Bally, from back in the day that I was always like interested in and heard just terrible things about, generally speaking, right? This is Wario World, and recently, as in like the last couple of months, Nintendo added Wario World to the Nintendo Switch Online service. This is weird because it wasn't one of the games that they showed at the start when they were like, we're bringing these games soon to GameCube Online.
Was it the 5th game they added to this thing or something?
I think it's the 6th, maybe like, the 7th.
Did you think Wario World would be in the top 6 games that they would get onto this thing first? Like, it's just wild.
No, definitely not. I mean, they put Chibi Robo on here even before that as well, but they did announce that Chibi Robo was coming. So like, they still haven't put Pokemon Colosseum or XD on here, and they still haven't put... No, actually, they just put Path of Radiance on, right? That was the other one everyone was waiting for. So I did start Path of Radiance as well. I'll probably slowly chip away at that in the background, because that's a game that I streamed the first time I played it, and so my memory of the story is non-existent, because I have this thing when I stream games is I will do voices, and then I will not absorb any of the story whatsoever. So I will say everything that's happening on screen, and I will also have no idea what is going on, because I'm just focused on doing the voices and not on the actual story. But that's a whole nother can of worms. So anyway, I want to follow the story this time and play Path of Radiance. Anyway, back to Wario World. So Wario World was released. I was like, this is great, an opportunity for me to check this out. I also knew the Virtual Boy was coming and I ordered it. So I was like, well, let's start doing a bit of cleanup on Wario and try and get rid of the core games that I have not played. So I decided, Bally, to play Wario World, a fascinating, weird video game that I am very glad that I've been playing, because it just illuminated a lot about what this game is and what was going on at the time, and just thinking about like other games around it and how it was potentially influenced by those. Fascinating thing. So fundamentally, it's a 3D platformer, but I would call it more of a isometric game. It's not isometric. It's kind of like, it's like 2.5D. It's almost like it's a slide-on perspective, but then there's parts of it where, you know, you're going into these sub-levels and those are fully 3D, and then you ask you to use the C-stick. You can really tell this is a period of time when Nintendo were like, hey guys, you can use another stick to control the camera, did you know, by the way? And we're going to make levels based around using the camera stick in order to move your perspective. And so, yeah, there's this real mix of what's going on. Wario has quite a diverse moveset. He can punch enemies. He can, like, grab them and spin them around. And if he spins for long enough, he goes into this, like, blue state where he's infinitely spinning, and anything that is next to him gets knocked away, basically.
That's also the move he uses in Smash Brothers, the spin.
Right, exactly. So I imagine a lot of Smash Brothers stuff could have been taken from Wario World, because there's quite a diverse moveset. You can dash, so his forward dash, obviously. This is also in the 2D game, so it's nicely translated here. But if you jump after you dash, you do like a kind of almost Samus morph ball in the air. You like turn into a ball for a second and jump, and then like you can cross gaps by doing that. So he has a little bit of like distance on his platforming.
Donkey Kong Bonanza.
A little bit like that. So he can ground pound as well. He can do a pile driver where if he has someone picked up, so you can either throw them at other enemies, you can spin around, or you can jump, press the shoulder button, and he does a pile driver wrestling spin into the ground, and like eliminates the enemy that way. There are certain doors that can only be opened, certain like sub-levels that can only be opened by doing this pile driver. So he actually has quite a broad moveset. There are parts of levels where you are kind of like locked in an arena and you're doing a bit of combat. But generally speaking, the idea is that you go through these levels that are quite long. They are quite extended. The one I did tonight, it must have taken me 35 minutes. Oof. And this is a single level. So they are extremely lengthy affairs. And a lot of that is exploring around the space, finding these like crystals, basically, these red crystals. So, you know, the sub-levels you go into, those are where you get those crystals. And so you need to find those because they're a little bit off the beaten path. You need to get like a set number of them. Unfortunately, the game doesn't tell you how many you need. And then when you get to the end of the level, there's a door that will only open if you have collected this number of collectibles. Which, you know, I think traditionally you and I, not a big fan of that style of design. Usually the way it works is you get collectibles in a level, and then, like Donkey Kong, for example, once you get enough collectibles total from doing all the levels, then you get to unlock another level or something, right? Or you get to progress. There's certain games where they hide progression to the next area behind that. I think Kirby and the Forgotten Land does that, right? You played that more recently, so you would remember.
That does what, sorry?
Like, basically, when you want to go to the next level or next world, you have to have enough doodads that you collected to unlock it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you need a certain number of doodads.
Exactly.
I don't know. I go both ways on that because they want you to purposefully get the things, but equally, if you don't have enough things, you don't want to go back and get the things. So, yeah.
Exactly. I think the balance has to be struck correctly for that stuff. But the difference here is that it's within the single level. So it's like, okay, in order to finish this level, I have to collect these things, right? So you are going out of your way to like slowly go through it. And here's the funny thing. You get to the end of the level. If you don't have enough of them, there's a little thing hanging from a balloon and you jump onto it and it warps you back to the start of the level so you can go back through and find where the rest of them are. So there's like a weird, like, obviously Wario Land as a series is this game where, you know, Wario has been treated differently as a character. You know, the old games, they're trying to figure out his identity. Like Wario Land 2 and 3, he's invincible, you know, he can't take damage, and so they create difficulty by knocking you out of things and like making you fail in different ways, which is curious. And then by Wario Land 4, I think it really finds its identity of the whole go through a level one way, then reverse your way back, almost speedrun style, back to the start, right? And this, I feel like, is trying to take that idea, that concept of going back to the start, but doing it in a way that is very different, where, you know, it could be seen as frustrating of like, you get to the end of the level, you only have 4 of the 5 things. Okay, I'm just going to walk back to the start and just explore until I find the next one. I will say for the most part, it hasn't been frustrating. I think the reason for that is, despite these levels being quite long the first time through, if you have done all the mini bosses and all the, you know, challenge rooms and all the stuff along the way, it is actually quite quick to run through, ignore enemies, and get back to the end of it. So I think if it hadn't been that case, if they had like put you back to the start of the level and the game state was the same, where all the enemies were respawned and everything, that would be frustrating, but it doesn't do that, which is nice. So it allows you to just run about, be like, where did I miss this one? Okay, over here, let me get it. And then I'll make my way to the end of the level. So it's curious from a design perspective. I do wish that they told you how many doodads you needed at the beginning so that you would then be able to focus on that. And then once you had that, you wouldn't have to worry about searching anymore. They do give you in the level 8 total, and so you only ever need between 3 and 6 to finish the level, right? So the beginning, start of the game, usually only 3 to finish the level. The final level I just did, you need 6. I've not fully finished the game yet. There are 4 worlds. I just did the 2nd level and the 4th world. That's the other thing. Because these levels are so long, each world consists of 2 regular levels and a boss fight, and that's it. So the setup is almost like it feels almost like a Banjo-Kazooie where, you know, you have like a little hub area and you go into that hub area, but instead of there being like 6 or 7 doors to different levels, there's 2. And they don't open until you've done the other one. So every level, I should say as well, all the regular platforming levels also end in a boss. So you do 35 minutes and then you fight a boss, and then that's the level done. And then you do it again, and then the third thing you do is just a boss fight. So I wonder if they just like ran out of development time or something, because it's a little odd that you have 2 full platforming levels, and then the third level you just go straight into a boss fight. And those boss fights are not that different, I would say, in terms of like you know, scope and ideas.
How are the bosses?
So I'm about to send you something, Bally. I hope you have your phone nearby, or at least the ability to look at something.
We're on WhatsApp here.
On WhatsApp. So the thing that I have realized is this game is fucking weird, okay? I'm going to send you a picture of 3 different...
Mario RPG levels of weird?
Oh, baby. These are 3 of the bosses that I found were very strange looking and not very Brand Bible approved. One of them I posted to Blue Sky, which is an alligator who is like 7 times the size of Wario, in a red bikini, like a bra and panties, and it's just an alligator standing like Godzilla size above you. The other ones I've sent you is this weird purple face that looks...
These look a bit more Expedition 33 kind of
style. There's like a weird cow that walks on 2 legs and has like a helmet and like struts around like a dancer. There's a guy in a top hat who's like green and looks like a goblin, and he hides under cups, and it does the whole magic trick where it spins the cups around and you have to hit the one that he's inside. Like, the thing is, like, these bosses are fucking weird, but I will say they're pretty creative from like a design standpoint. I think all of them have interesting things that they're trying to do, and they all have a very similar structure where they all have 6 health. You can see that or 5 health, I should say, from their the skull icons they have underneath them. And you basically have to go through 6 different rounds of having the window open to do damage. So it's a little bit retro studios in design, in terms of like there's only one window to hurt them, and the way that you hurt them usually is that when they're kind of knocked on the ground, you pick them up and you spin them around as Wario. There is, I guess, also Mario 64 influence here, in the sense that Wario picking up these characters and spinning them around in order to do damage. Thankfully, it's not the Mario 64 school of design of like, you have to throw Bowser into the spiky thing to do damage. They will just lose a piece of health no matter where you throw them. So you just start spinning them, and then you get to maximum, throw them, and they'll take the damage, which is very, very nice. It's an odd thing. I think the thing I like about it is that it feels very unique, and I just have never really played anything platforming-wise quite similar to it, you know?
Is it fun?
Yeah. Like, okay. I am having a good time. I think the thing about it is that I find that there's frustration in some of the platforming where they throw you down to the bottom of the well, basically. So if you fall off a ledge, you go down into this weird underworld where ghosts chase you for some reason, and you have to hit boxes, and inside most of these boxes is a bomb, but inside one of the boxes is a spring, and that spring will get you back up. And it's like...
That sounds like Wario Land.
Yeah, it's so Wario Land in the way it handles it, of like, okay, we're not gonna...
Just kill me.
We're not gonna,
just kill me.
Right, yeah, exactly, just kill me. We're not gonna take a heart away from you. Yeah. We're just gonna put you down into this underworld so you can get back up, but you can still die is the thing. But the other thing is, it feels almost modern in the way that they approach death, where they're like, hey, just pay us some money and we'll just revive you on the spot, you know? So like in these boss fights, I could be like right at the end and have 1 health left and die, and then I'd be like, fuck, and I wouldn't want to redo the whole boss fight, but I could just pay 500 gold and I'll just go back to full health.
Is gold abundant?
Gold is pretty abundant. Yeah, I mean, you get it from like every enemy, and there's another move Wario has, which is he walks around with his jaw open and starts sucking in. And I was like, what the fuck is the point of this? Like, I tried to use it on enemies, it didn't do anything. And then I realized another weird thing. There's little weird like fairies. I'd call them like, I don't know, they're like weird pixies in pajamas that you find by finding these boxes in levels, and they all give you like hints and tips about the game. Some of them tell you like this is how you fight the boss and things like that. I think one of them told me if you use that move, you can suck in coins, and so it's a quick way to get coins if you're in the middle of a boss fight and they're dazed and confused and you want to pick them up, but they just dropped a bunch of coins and you want to get those coins. If you open your jaw basically and just like and just like hoover up all the coins, you can get all the coins quickly before you then go and fight and throw the boss away. So yeah, it's another very odd thing. But gold is relatively plentiful. I think I have like 8,000 or something at the moment. And if I die, I have to pay 500. So it's not the worst thing. Obviously, also, I have save states at my disposal. So a lot of the time, what I'm doing before annoying jumps is I will just save state, and then it doesn't really matter. I won't worry about falling down to the bottom and getting frustrated by it. But the thing that I think is so interesting about this game is these sub-levels that you play within the space. There's like 4 different touch points for them. There was one level that felt like it took inspiration from Super Monkey Ball. There was quite a few of them feel like Mario Sunshine levels, like the Mario Floodless levels, basically. The way that it starts, like the way it zooms in is like your super zoomed out view of like this platforming gauntlet. And it feels like a Monkey Ball level where you're zooming down to your level to show the whole thing, and then you go down to that level. But then it feels almost Sunshine-esque in its design. And there's a split here, because some of these are platforming focused, some of them are puzzle focused. And the platforming focused ones very much feel like they have that Mario Sunshine kind of like, right, here's a challenge, hit this switch, this thing will move, and then you go across. Those are nice, actually, because another modern thing, if you die on these sub-levels, you don't lose any health, and it just spawns you back at the beginning. So you can take as many tries at them as you want, basically. So, yeah, that was very, very cool. The other type of sub-level, it's almost prescient. Like, it feels like they are predicting things years before they will happen. These sub-levels feel like Super Mario 3D Land levels. You know those levels where you'd go into them in 3D Land where it'd be like, here's a fixed perspective, use the 3D to like get to this spot. The way that they do it here is a similar thing, but because they are, having a C-stick for the first time, it's about using the C-stick to rotate around the level. You can, go left and right. Obviously, it's inverted, so that's driving me up the wall, but it's fine because it's not action-focused, so it's easy to just, like, move it around if you make a mistake. You can move the camera, like, above Wario, top-down view to, like, get a better perspective. And, like, some of these are these cubes that are in the sky, and you have to, like, use perspective to, like, go through the cube in a tunnel and then jump out the other side, and you're moving the C-stick around to, like, have a look. Like, it's so odd to see a thing that Nintendo will go on to use in another game being used in this game, which, by the way, was not made by Nintendo. This was a game made by Treasure, a company that are really mainly known for like shooters and like arcade-style action games, right? Like Treasure were a huge deal back in the day, don't really exist now anymore. There's not many games that they have worked on.
They like actually made arcade machines, right?
I think they did, yeah, but I think like the games they're most well, like Sin and Punishment is a game they're most well known for, right? Like things like that. I heard about Treasure mainly because of RFN, right? Like I didn't really know anything about this company before they talked about all these shooters and stuff that they had made. And I knew that Wario World was made by Treasure, which is very odd. Like it's a strange company to give a platforming game to when the history of the developer doesn't really lean in that direction at all, but it does feel like they are taking inspiration from a whole bunch of different places and creating this thing that is so odd but oddly compelling in a way, and like has such a sense of its own identity. The levels are really creative as well. I just did a level yesterday where it's playing with mirrors, where, in the background you will see a mirror image of what's going on, and Wario is trying to like be controlled almost backwards, like you're sometimes having to go like down instead of up, like it's doing a bit of that stuff. I just did an Egyptian level today, which was climbing a pyramid, going around in circles. There's just a bunch of interesting, odd, creative levels that have been made, and they all feel pretty distinct. There's one boss fight as well that is basically the Twilight Princess Arbiter's Ground fight, but instead of you spinning around the side, it is like it's like a sand pit which goes down to the center, and you're trying to hit this stupid guy who pops out of the ground and just hit him in the face and stuff like that, and then toss him about. There's like a boss fight where there's two dragon heads fighting each other, and you have to knock out one of them and make the other one shoot fire onto it. There's an ice level where there are these ice cream cone guys who are like giant round fat guys that just bounce you off the side. Like there's lots of creativity here in an era where Nintendo were being weird, right? There's lots of odd, strange games that came out in the GameCube era, and I feel like this is one of those kind of forgotten games that really got not very good reviews when it came out. And I kind of see why. Like, I do understand, given the context of the time and what people were feeling about the GameCube generally, like the disappointment of not having 3D Mario at launch. When that 3D Mario comes, it's like the least polished 3D Mario and has a lot of jank to it, and people don't really like it. And then having a Wario game that does like this weird stuff, and almost, I think in an era where people want full 3D games, it is kind of a 2D platformer still, but just with a weird different perspective to it. So I think there is a bias of the time. And I'm not saying this game is like a fucking 10 out of 10, right? It's certainly not. Like, it definitely is in the realm of a 7. But, like, it's a 7 that I love, like an 8.5, you know? Like, I think there's a real interest that this game is. A quirkiness, like a real uniqueness, that surprise that it keeps getting me with, that I just find very, very charming. I think it's a very cool piece of history, and I encourage people to check it out. I think it has a lot more to give than I expected, and nice. Yeah, it's great. It hasn't felt, it's been a while since I've gone back and played like an old Nintendo game, right? And I think that's something that I want to try and do a bit more of. But this was a really interesting experiment of a game, and now more people can take a look at it and see how it is, how it holds up. And
awesome.
I can't guarantee you'll feel the same way as I do, but I think it's very, very cool.
I'd like to try it at some point. It's on my list.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just weirdly structured, I will say. The length of the levels, because like I started it and I was like, oh, okay, seems like I'm gonna have like maybe 5 levels per world or whatever, and then I got to the end of that first world and I was like, wait, what? 2 levels and then what is going on? This is so weird.
If you're gonna have 35-minute levels, I can't think of another game that has 35-minute levels off the top of my head. Especially not in like the platforming space.
Yeah, I think pacing wise, that's the thing about it, and I think especially back in the day, I think because I have save states, it's so much more palatable, right? Like it makes such a big difference. And I think back in the day, if you're someone who is trying to review this or whatever and play it, I think your perspective is definitely much different too.
Does it have lives, or is it just that money system?
No, it doesn't have lives. Yeah, it's just that money system. Okay. So I guess if you fully run out of money,
the level again.
Yeah, I think so. Which sounds
35-minute level again. Come to think of it, Luigi's Mansion 2 has some 35-minute levels.
It does. You're right. That is a great pull. That's a great example.
And if you die in that game, you start the level again. It's horrible.
Yeah, honestly, Wario World, better quality of life than Luigi's Mansion 2. You heard it here first. It really does. So
awesome.
Yeah. You can choose to not take that revive, by the way. And if you do that, I imagine it just restarts you at the beginning of the level. So, take the revive is what I'm saying.
So it's kind of like Mario Odyssey before Mario Odyssey, then, because
a little bit, right? Because that's you lose coins for dying in that game as well. So, yeah, ahead of his time, Wario for sure, for certain. So, there you go, Wario World, a hit video game from 2003. I think I was looking it up. I was trying to actually figure out when did Wario World come out versus Wario Land 4. Wario Land 4. 2001, Wario World 2003. So I imagine they could have taken some ideas from Wario Land 4 and riffed on them, which is partially why I think that going back to the start of the level thing is kind of a little bit of inspiration from Wario Land 4, because that game came out obviously prior to Wario World happening. And I imagine, actually, I don't know who the producer was on Nintendo's side who worked on Wario World, but usually what they do is they will have a Nintendo in-house person working with their third-party studios when they're working on their IP. So I imagine they were definitely taking some cues from that stuff. But weird game, fun game. Glad it exists and glad they put it back out. Bally, you have been playing. I think it's a very
ding 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 ding. There's breaking news in the video game industry.
Oh shit! What is it? What's the breaking news, Bally?
Someone is retiring.
Okay, who's retiring?
Can you guess who's retiring?
Wait, are you telling me live news on the podcast right now?
This is live news on our podcast. Are you ready for this?
Oh god, Bally, I don't even have like social media open.
Don't open it. Don't open it. I'm testing you. I'm testing you. Who's retiring? And they're retiring on Monday. Today is Friday at time of recording.
It can't be Shigeru Miyamoto. That would be fucking crazy if it was Shigeru Miyamoto.
It is not Nintendo related.
It's not Nintendo.
Good guess, though.
Okay. Because that would be earth-shattering. I think, actually, Bally, you might have started, like, choking if you saw that Shigeru Miyamoto was retiring. Gosh, I don't know. Is it, I was going to say Shuhei Yoshida, but he already retired. Like, someone in the... Oh, wait, is it Phil Spencer? Is that our boy
Phil
who hates Chrono?
Spencer is retiring on Monday.
Okay.
And Sarah Bond has resigned.
Has resigned?
Yep. And
wait, so she's not going to take over?
And Matt Booty is becoming the chief content officer.
Oh god.
And Asha Sharma from Microsoft Core AI is named the new boss of Xbox.
Fuck my fucking life. Well, it was nice knowing everybody. It's over. Video games is finished now, actually. This will be the last episode of the podcast. There's no more video games after this. So... Great, cool.
Oh my god, that last one is just the biggest kick in the nuts.
I want to crawl into a hole and die. So okay, cool. Anyway, we can discuss that on another podcast episode. Let's park that for this Nintendo Life. Bally, bring us back to reality. Yes. Let's talk about video games. This is a very actually platforming focused episode.
Yeah, we were talking up your Wario credentials, talking up my DK credentials, and I have been playing Nikoderiko: The Magical World. So this game came out back in 2024. It's made by Vea Games, who are actually based out of Cyprus, which is very interesting.
Oh, interesting.
Published by Nightspeak, who are some Dutch publisher. Have you heard of them?
Okay.
But, yeah. When this game came out, it didn't make many waves, but then someone whose opinion I very much like on Donkey Kong Country games and Tropical Freeze and this sort of thing is Tim Getty's at Kind of Funny, and he was really the only person in my kind of podcasting circles bigging up this game. And he said, if you like Donkey Kong, Tropical Freeze, if you like Crash Bandicoot, like, you need to play this game. So I went into it thinking that it was kind of like a 50-50 split between Donkey Kong Country and Crash Bandicoot. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely it's like 80 to 85% Donkey Kong Country, and then like a tiny bit.
Well, that's good, because you're far more of on that side than the Crash. I mean, you've played some Crash, but
I am, but like I do want to I would love to play the trilogy at some point. I want to play Crash 4 at some point. So yeah, it's a lot less Crash stuff. And when I say Crash stuff, like, what's really cool is almost all of the levels transition seamlessly between a 2D Donkey Kong part going into a 3D Crash part. Like, literally, you're playing with the analog stick, and all of a sudden, when you press up, you are just running into the world, which in like a 2.5D game feels amazing. And like, I think more games should try doing that at times, because it just feels much more involved and quite nice. But ultimately, like, I think this game is just far more DK coded. Like, there's barrels, there's Nico letters, so Niko is like the Kong letters. There's bonus levels that are just like the banana bonus levels. And honestly, it's also got a soundtrack by David Wise. So like, this game feels so much like the two retro Donkey Kong games.
Interesting.
More so than the traditional Donkey Kong Country games. So I think on the vibes sense, this game is nailing it. I love the design. Like, you're playing as Nico and his girlfriend, whose name I cannot remember. But he's a mongoose, and if there's one thing you know about
the animal he's a mongoose.
He is a mongoose. The animal.
Okay. I thought you were saying like he's a fucking ledge. He's a mongoose.
He's a mongoose.
It's like bigging him up. Oh, he's my man.
What do you know about mongooses, MBZ?
God, I couldn't tell you the fucking first thing about a mongoose.
Okay, there's one animal that they are very good at killing that other animals are rubbish at killing and they get killed by all the time?
God, rats? I don't know.
Rats? No. People get killed by rats? But anyway, I guess I could do
I don't know. The plagues? Have you played the Plague Tale games? Lots of people get killed by rats.
Snakes, cobras in particular. So all the enemies in this game are these anthropomorphized cobra people. So I think that it's just like a really fun vibe. And one of the cobras goes, "Oh, that stupid bandicoot got in my way." And then he goes, "I'm not a bandicoot, I am a mongoose." And it's like obviously riffing on Crash Bandicoot. So I think that was very fun. And then there's loads of references to Donkey Kong Country where, you know, like there's the lights out, lights on level from the original Donkey Kong Country. Like they've got a level that's like that. And then similarly in the Returns and Tropical Freeze, they have the silhouette levels where you're just playing as like a silhouette of Donkey Kong. They also have those. So there's all these references. It's like a really nice just love letter to all those things. I think where the game doesn't meet the highs of the Returns and Tropical Freeze games is it feels great. It just doesn't feel exceptionally great. I think like Returns and Tropical Freeze feel like. I think there's just certain hitboxes and certain things that are just a bit like, that was a little bit annoying. Like I didn't feel like that hitbox was very fair in a way that it would feel more fair in a game like Tropical Freeze. And I do think that other than that, the level design itself is very impressive. I still think Tropical Freeze is kind of the pinnacle of, as we've said before on the show, like it will merge like a falling leaf on this autumnal level is now a platform, and it like the level seamlessly creates platforms and things.
It's about context, right? It's like
great
how
context.
Does that like work into the world?
This game feels a little bit more structured in terms of like, right, there's a wooden platform and it leads to this, but it is the next best thing genuinely on that kind of design level. It's really well done. The music is phenomenal, like I said. The voice acting is not like crazy annoying. It's very like, I'm American and I'm just really outspoken and I'm just going to chat loads. And that's just kind of how Nikoderiko is. But that's fine. That's kind of how, I guess, is Crash Bandicoot like that? No, is he silent protagonist? I can't remember.
Yeah, I feel like in the later games they gave him more voice and character.
He's a bit more sassy, yeah. So
the original games he is silent, I think.
Yeah.
He just kind of makes, moves and things like that.
Right. Well, Nico's very chatty, especially like there's cutscenes between levels and around boss fights and things, and that leads me on to my next point, which is boss fights. These are Tropical Freeze boss fights, so they are your favorite type of boss fight.
Classic retro design.
Yeah. They've got big long windows where you cannot damage the boss, and then you get this one little window where you can grab like an explosive and you attack the boss in that one little moment. If you miss it, you gotta wait through all the cycles of attacks again and go again. And I don't mind those boss fights as much in Tropical Freeze and Returns, to be honest. I like the boss design, and I actually like the boss design in this game. I think that they're even more overt about the number of hits bosses require, where you see a big health bar at the top and the health bar is split up into notches, and it's like, right, this boss has 3 notches. I guess I gotta hit it 3 times. And then often the ones that have 3 notches, they have a second phase that's another 3 notches, but there's a couple that are kind of like 8 notches. And I think all that stuff is handled pretty well. And what's nice is they mix up a bit more between the 3D and 2D for the boss fights. Like some of the boss fights are 3D, a couple of them are 2D, including the final boss, and there's just some nice design in there. Like I think that it's pretty good. Like the annoyance of some of the hitboxes and things of the levels does bring itself into boss fights, which might be a little bit more annoying because I think the game gets a little bit harder on those boss fights. But
I mean, how is it with like checkpointing and things like that?
Checkpoints are pretty good. There's no live system, and you just go back to checkpoints. Are you talking about checkpoints on boss fights? Sorry.
Right, yeah. Is there like checkpoint between phases? Like if you have a second phase?
There's no checkpoints between phases on boss fights.
Okay, but generally speaking, in the levels, it feels like it's pretty fair.
In the levels, it's fine. And I don't think the bosses are that difficult apart from the final boss. And honestly, there was only one phase of the final boss I just kept messing up, and I had to basically... But I would die because I kept hitting that one phase. Every other phase I was absolutely fine. So that was a little bit frustrating. But
okay.
Yeah, and like I think that the bonus levels I think got a bit annoying after a while. I made a decision quite early on that I was going to just go for like the Nico letters and didn't really worry about any other collectibles. There's the whole, if you get everything, there's like a secret world and all this. Is like, I like this game a lot. I don't like it to the point of like, I'm going to do everything in this game and get like the secret levels. I did one of the secret levels, and that level alone took me 20-30 minutes. Like, it was really long and hard, and I was like, I don't really have it in me to like beat all of these really crazy hard levels. Like, I'm just enjoying the slightly more chill levels. So yeah, because of that, the bonus levels were quite annoying after a while, where there's a bit of a loading screen to get into the bonus level, loading screen to get out. All the bonus levels are like, they take away all your health you're just down to like 1 health generally, because you can like build up your health to 3 hearts on regular levels, and they take it down to 1 on all the bonus levels. So the second you hit an enemy, you're out of there, and it just like loading screen. I'm like, right, I'm just going to avoid this bonus level and just continue with the main level, because it's not that fun.
It sounds like another thing that they took from Donkey Kong. I remember people complaining about, like, you know, trying to do the speedrun stuff in Tropical Freeze and how the load times were so egregious that it's like...
This game does have those load times where it's like they really want to just mirror Tropical Freeze.
Right,
it's like,
right.
We're going to keep those load times.
Like, I guess my question is, like, how shameless does it feel? Like, because I think part of games like this, I think it's all well and good because there is an audience you're serving, which is an audience who misses this type of game, and there isn't that many being made in this specific style, right? Like, there's a real specificity to the DK platformers and what they offer and the type and feel of the movement. Like, I don't know. Are you happy that this exists? Does it feel bad that they are aping every single thing from that franchise? Like, I don't know. It's just odd.
I don't personally think there's a ton of games like this. Means I'm very happy to play it, and I do think it's got enough originality. Like, I think the design of Nikoderiko, the mongoose, is fun, and I think the enemies are fun, and their design is fun, and the bosses are fun. The world is fun. It's great. Like, yes, it is shamelessly being Donkey Kong and a bit Crash Bandicoot, but I'm okay with that. I think what's unique about it is it's trying to blend the two a bit. I think that's pretty cool.
Right. So I might have missed this because I was looking at Blue Sky when you were discussing the Crash and Donkey Kong, but are you saying that like they weave Crash stuff into the level seamlessly?
They literally weave it into, to the point where you just start pressing up on the analog stick and Nico will just start running into the level, and it's like...
Got you, okay.
That doesn't happen in anything like enough in this game that I would like, to be honest. I'd love to see it way more.
Yeah, it feels like that should have been a USP that they should have leaned into a bit more, because I think these as individual series to be ripped off is well and good, but if you're doing it together and like blending it enough, then you can almost make something that feels new and different as a result of that. But it feels like they didn't quite go the whole way with it.
I think that they were maybe just scared that they felt their DK levels were stronger in design than the Crash levels, or they were more confident in 2D than 3D or something. And I'll admit, like, 2D platforming feels cleaner and neater than Crash Bandicoot platforming. It just does. That's just how it feels. But I think they do some smart stuff in the 3D parts where you have like a little reflective circle underneath Nico when you're jumping, so like you can tell platform distances and this kind of thing, which I think is quite important in 3D platformers in the modern space, a bit like Astrobots, laser beams or something, you know. Like, I think stuff like that helps. But yeah, as a like Donkey Kong game, this game, Nico has the slide like DK's Roll. You can slide off a platform into a jump just like DK's Roll. He can glide down just like Diddy Kong can in Returns. Like, there's it does feel like Donkey Kong, which I like. Like, I think Donkey Kong is a really great game, and that's why I was predominantly playing this game. And it immediately makes me compare this game to Kaze and the Wild Masks. And like, I
was going to ask about that, because like that is just 2D and is more of a pixel style, right?
Yeah, I think Kaze is trying to be far more like the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy. Whereas, because of the 3D vibes, the 2.5D, the David Wise soundtrack, which is top notch, and I love it, I think this game is trying to be Returns and Tropical Freeze. And I side more with Returns and Tropical Freeze, but I would put Nikoderiko like on the absolute par alongside Kaze and the Wild Masks. As these are I think these are both great platformers that people who like the Donkey Kong games should definitely play. Don't think that these two games can overtake DK, and don't think that they can mirror DK perfectly, but I think that they both get damn close. I'd argue Kaze probably handles just a little bit tighter and closer to the Donkey Kong games, and I think that's because it's it's a bit of a simpler game. Like in the design, it's not got all these 3D assets and all the hitbox issues that I think that when I say hitbox issues, I don't want to over egg it. Like, I just think there were a couple of times I was just a bit like, oh, okay, right, I felt that was an unfair death, or, you know, this kind of thing. I think that...
I think it's jarring because the problem with platformers, generally speaking, is that the highest level of platformer is Nintendo. And Nintendo's polish and sheen is so through the fucking roof.
I think it's near impossible for a small indie team to meet that level of polish. And
100%. And so I think that's why... I think it's partially why platformers are such a hard genre to like succeed commercially, is because you're competing with the best thing that exists, right? I think there are other genres in the indie space, you know, a lot of roguelike stuff that AAA are not doing, you know? And so I think there's less of a comparison point there. But with platformers specifically, because you have the king of the mountain, Nintendo, who have nailed 2D and 3D for decades, and everyone knows how those games feel, how they're supposed to feel, and how polished they are. When you go and play one of these games, it naturally is going to feel lesser because they just can't afford to have that level of polish and insane like level of detail to it. So yeah.
But you know, I think this game definitely deserves more waves, more attention than it ultimately got. I presume it's not doing that well on Steam. I don't think it's made.
No, definitely not. I mean, platformers are not great on that store anyway. So.
But yeah, I've had a really fun time with it. I just think it's so colorful. It's just so bright. It is just that. It's relaxing. Like I think I appreciate art style, art design, and music a lot more sometimes than I think I realize, and maybe compared to you sometimes, MBZ.
Sure, yeah, for sure.
I'll put to the side that sometimes the controls and level design can be a little bit frustrating at points in return for just a really nice looking game. And I think that one more thing is like, there's just times where you like need to bounce like on an enemy in order to get up to a platform or something, and there's certain points in Nikoderiko where you bounce on the enemy, it dies, and then all of a sudden you've now lost the ability to get to that bonus area. So I'm now left in a position where do I continue with the level, or do I kill myself to get that enemy to respawn and try and get to that secret area? And I just think that it's little design like that. I'm pretty sure Tropical Freeze works around, like the enemy might respawn or something else might happen. Like I just feel like there's not like these kind of one-way doors you can go through by accident and then not be able to return. I just don't think that's much fun.
For sure.
And like I said, when there's just a bit of too much downtime getting in and out of the bonus levels, and there's little hitches here and there, but I think overall it's a really cool game and it's innovative. And you were saying like Wario's 2 levels and then a boss. This game's world design is 4 levels and then a boss, and then there's 7 worlds, so there's like 28 levels, 7 bosses. I think it's pretty easy breezy. I think I did it in like 8 hours. Like it's a fairly short game, and I think that's a really good length for what this game's going for. So I had a very good time. It's not top tier, but it's pretty damn close. It's really good fun. I think it's a great game.
Would you recommend I play this or Kaze if I was going to jump into either of them? I've just been looking at the GIFs on the Steam page, by the way, and it does look really nice. Like, it is very good looking, I will say, from an art design.
It does look nice, yeah. For your tastes, I think Kaze will go down better, but I think you should try both at some point. Would be how I feel.
Yeah, I'm interested. I think it's nice to see that, you know, developers are trying to pick up the slack for Nintendo, right? Like, there are certain series that Nintendo abandons, and I wouldn't call this one that they have abandoned, but I certainly haven't made a new Donkey Kong Country side-scroller in over a decade at this point in time.
Feel like we can't be a million miles off by the fact they ported both of them to the Switch.
So also, they're trying to revive Donkey Kong. They've got the movie, they've got the theme park, and also Bonanza just came out, so I wonder if something's up. But it's nice that you know, their Pizza Tower exists for the Wario fans and Anton Blast as well. Yes. And now you have Nikoderiko and Kaze for the specific Donkey Kong fans.
Donkey Kong sickos.
It's interesting. I think, you know, you can just say like indie platformers are one thing, but there is a real specificity to the way these games are built based on the real like nitty gritty of the way Nintendo designed those games. Interestingly, I don't think we've ever seen many Kirby likes in the indie space, and I probably imagine that's because Nintendo just never stops making them, so it's not like there's a market open for Kirby style games, I guess. But interesting nonetheless. Great. Well, let's just make this a platforming party, Bally, because my final game to discuss is Grapple Dog's Cosmic Canines. This is the follow-up, the sequel, to, I think, Grapple Dog is the first name, or is it Grapple Dogs? I can't remember the first one has a plural on it or not. But I played that game a couple of years ago.
I think it's just Grapple Dog.
Grapple Dog singular, because it was just the individual
I own it,
dog.
But I haven't played it yet. I'd like to try.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that game decently. I think it had some issues in its length. Like, I think it was a bit too long, and I think it slightly overstayed its welcome. But it had some fun things going on. You're this dog, you have a grappling hook, and you do levels with that grappling hook. And inside those levels, you collect things. It is another one of those collect things to open up the next area type of games, again, which we're not the biggest fans of, but I think it was done okay there. And I think the sequel is just better in almost every way, I'll say. So interesting, like Sonic the Hedgehog parallels here. So I have no idea what happened in the story, because the dialogue started and I was like, no, I don't care.
Okay,
so
hands up.
It.
I did this in Nikoderiko for like the first time. Not
ever, hello.
But, like, I was like, you know what? The story is not that great, and I don't need to absorb it all. And I like the vibes of these characters, but I don't need to know their story. So I skipped the cutscene, not the cutscenes, the dialogue. Played the game. Still a good time. You'd be so proud of me.
We love to hear it. Fantastic news. Excellent. Bally has joined the dark side. It's great. Yes, so I did exactly what I do, which is I just held the skip button on literally every piece of dialogue. I have no idea what the hell happened in this story. Not a clue. I literally skipped every single thing. But Sonic the Hedgehog vibes in the fact that you get a second character. This character, she's darker, she's grittier, and guess what? She has a fucking gun. Okay, they gave her a gun. So you play as Luna, who's the second character. So you do one level as Pablo, I think is his name, who's the original Grapple Dog from the first game. And then you do another level, and it says Luna, and she's like, she has a gun, and she can grapple, but she actually has different moves. So she can air dash, she can dash on the ground, which is nice. But she can't do certain things that Pablo can do in terms of he can do like turn into a ball and like smash down on people and that type of thing, and is a bit better at wall jumping and those types of things. So they kind of like give each of them different abilities. And this game does a much better job than the first one at making distinct levels that feel like they have a unique mechanic associated. So every world you're going to get like a new ability that gets added. So, one of them is that you have this kind of leafy green thing that you shoot out, and you can use it to turn surfaces from like dirt into grass, and then you can climb up them basically. So as you're jumping, you're turning it into grass, and then you're using it to climb up. Later on, you get a gun with Luna that lets her like shoot a shotgun blast of fire that you can then use to like melt things and things like that. Like there's a lot of different interesting uses of weapons that you get given and abilities you get given throughout the runtime that I thought was very compelling and felt just easier and smoother to go down than I think the first game did, generally speaking. I think it is paced a lot better from that perspective as well. It also has like mini levels in between the longer ones. So the longer levels, maybe like 10 minutes long each, but the mini ones you can do in like a couple of minutes, and they all have a timer on them. So if you get like the gold medal, then you can, get extra stuff. I think you only need to get the bronze medal in order to get the the collectible you need to progress through the story. But a lot of them are speedrun focused, so you're like trying to get through these areas quickly with a grapple hook. One of the abilities that Pablo gets is he turns into an electric ball, and he like rides like a morph ball quickly along the background. Basically there are these like panels on the background, and he like zipping around them. That's very fun to control. Like it's very snappy, very good feeling from a control standpoint, and just like strings these things together very nicely. I think it does a good job of hiding its secrets as well, obviously in order to get those collectibles to progress through the different levels, you do have to search these spaces to find them, and I found, generally speaking, for most levels, I could find 2 out of 3, which is not too bad. And if you do that, then you'll be able to get through. Like, I never had to go back to a level to collect a collectible that was blocking my way, which was nice. I think it's well designed from that perspective, and it's allowing people who just want to run through the story and just see the levels to do it without having to be a mega nerd about it. There is like a post-game island that you unlock, which is like, oh, well, if we want to do this, then we have to go find every collectible in the game. And that's when I was like, cool, you guys enjoy that, I'm going to go now, because I don't want to go do that and replay all the levels to collect stuff. But yeah, really good variety. Shorter than the first game, which I think is actually a benefit pacing-wise. Like, it just feels snappier. The boss fights are kind of cool, like, because there's not much combat in this game. It's interesting in that, you know, Luna has a gun, so she's much easier to design a boss around, I would say, traditional boss fight. But Pablo doesn't. He just has, like, a punch, which isn't very useful, and he, like, has a ground pound as well. And so it's a case of, okay, how do you design a boss fight around a character that doesn't really have too many offensive options? And so they get quite creative, quite puzzly with it, which I think is quite nice, of, like, you know, figuring out, like, I need to do this, and then get on top and then ground pound from a height because I needed to, you know, create platforms for myself or whatever it may be. So yeah, I think generally speaking, goes down very smooth. A great, like, after work chill game, kind of like what we were talking about Nikoderiko, right? It's just like kind of goes down easy. And I think I've just been in a space recently where I'm just like, I need to listen to a podcast and play something and, like, focus on multiple things at the same time. And so that's why Wario World has been working, and that's why Grapple Dogs has been working as well. And once I get my big sofa and I can sit there and relax, like, fully, then I think I'll have a big thing on the TV. But at the moment, I'm feeling very like, I just need something that is not too much of a commitment, and platformers tend to be that for me, and that's kind of why I've kind of gravitated towards these games recently, which has been nice. It's been good. So yeah, I know you own the first one, but if you didn't, I would recommend playing the second instead of the first. But
okay,
I think it's fine.
The second one is sitting on 88 on OpenCritic. Like,
wow, yeah,
it's only
that's
had
really
14
good.
reviews, but that is pretty damn strong.
It's really good. It's a lot better than, I don't know what the first one scored on there, but
have a look.
I think it was definitely lower than that. I enjoyed the first one. I think the first one is a solid game.
First one is 78.
Yeah, exactly. That feels right. Like, the second one, I think, is significantly better. Like, I really, really enjoyed it, and I think it kind of makes good on the concept. I think partially because you have 2 characters and 2 different ability sets, and then also within the levels, you're getting, like, unique items based on that character.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like every level is doing something different.
Yeah, platformer heaven.
Yes, and the original Grapple Dog blended together a lot more because you had such a limited moveset, and it just went on for too long, I think. But they really fixed a lot of those problems with this game.
Nikoderiko also on 78. So there you go.
Interesting, huh? Would you say you would rate it higher than that, personally?
I'd swither between 7 and 8, so I think 78 is pretty fair.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, 88 is really high for Grapple Dogs.
Yeah.
I might not go that high with it. It's definitely an 85 range for me, for sure. But in any case, a very good game that I enjoyed. Great. Well, those are all the new games that we have been playing. But there's one thing that we wanted to quickly return to, Bally. So if you have not played Cairn, then you might want to skip ahead a little bit, because we're going to do a little bit of spoiler chat before we close out this segment. But if not, feel free to look at the timestamps and go to emails, and we'll see you there. But if you are interested, we're going to talk a little bit of spoilers on Cairn. The first thing I want to say, Bally, that I find really fascinating is that the last time on the show we talked about this game, you were like, oh my god, you have to get to the ending, it's crazy. And I got to the ending, but the ending you were talking about is not the ending that I got to. And I got to a point in the ending, I was like, wow, this is really cool. And like,
in your defense, the ending you're talking about, I think, is more crazy than the ending I'm talking about. So
I agree with that, which is why I was like, oh, wait, Bally wasn't even talking about this. He was just talking about the other thing, which is crazy in its own way, I will say. But Bally, do you want to explain, like, the ending that you initially got, basically?
Okay, so I was running out of time ahead of the show, and I felt like I was near the end of the game, and I was given the choice. You get to a point in the game where you're given a choice. or in MBZ's case,
you're not given a choice. You have to go and find the choice, because I didn't know there was a choice.
You have to go and find the choice. I assumed this was shoved in everyone's face and you had to make the choice.
Nope.
But
I didn't know it existed. My colleague at work also didn't know it existed, and he is. By the way, my colleague, shout out to Alex. He has free soloed the whole game.
Oh my
God! yeah. He loves it. He's like a full sicko for Cairn. So
you reach this climber who has been up there for 12 years, and he's essentially stuck in the middle. And he says, "I can't make the top, but I can't face going back down the mountain." So he's basically stuck in limbo in the middle. And you're going up there with your climbing buddy. What's your climbing buddy called?
Marco.
And Marco is basically like, yeah, I'm going back down the mountain, and says to Ava, like, do you want to join me? And it's hinted that, like, Marco is struggling and he's definitely hiding some sort of injury. So I think the implication I've seen others online suggest, so you're given the choice as Ava, I should say, of whether you want to go to the summit or go back down the mountain with Marco. And like I was saying, it's implied, I agree with this theory, that like if Marco goes down the mountain by himself, he's unlikely to make it down. He's probably going to die. And then, so what I did at this point in time was, I felt bad for Marco, but I also felt bad because I didn't have time and energy to climb up the mountain, and I wanted to see that ending with the full intention of coming back to the game and doing the other ending. So I ended the game, as it were. I went back down the mountain with Marco, and then the ending is like Ava. You see like a couple of stills of Ava with like her partner, and they're setting up some sort of party, and Ava's just kind of staring into space in a kind of like vacant, not that happy kind of way. And I think it's basically telling you like Ava's only really happy when she's on the mountain. She's not really happy back down on Earth, I guess. It's one way of putting it.
Right.
Like she wants to be up the mountain. So then after we had recorded that weekend at MBZ, I went for the summit, and it turned out I summited like within an hour or so, like you summiting. And I think what is just so spectacular about that final section is I found it really challenging. Not as challenging as the vertical wall that we were talking about before.
No, I agree. Because, well, here's the thing, right, as well. When you told me it was the hardest thing in the game, you hadn't yet done the final thing. So you didn't know if it was the hardest thing in the game.
I think this area was harder in different ways. Like, I think this area forces you to mix up your styles of climbing more. And
I think it's also very forgiving because, you know, at this point in time, you can't go and get other resources, and I would fully run out of water or something. I'd fully run out of, cold resistance. That's what it was.
Right.
I kept freezing to death and blacking out. And the nice thing about it is that it will keep you saved on the last piton that you put into the wall, basically. So you can make it up there even if you are blacking out a bunch of times.
I think the game is subtly getting you to the top of the mountain in some ways.
Exactly. Yes.
And which I think is done really well, because I'd never really felt that push other than, like you say, you get the biovac save point every time you pass out. I passed out, I think, for either food or water reasons, but not cold reasons, so that's strange.
Oh, weird. Okay.
And then as I was getting to the top, I ran out of tape, and I was like,
"That's crazy."
I have had tape this whole game, and like now I'm finally running out. And yeah, that final part is just, and like, one quick point is when I reached the end, it told me like I was successful, and it said that I didn't have assist mode on. And what I mean by that is like, so the one sort of quote unquote assist I did use was, again, like if you get a strong hold, a little square will emanate from Ava's limb. And if it's a regular hold, nothing happens. And I just kept that on till the end of the game just to help me understand strong holds and weaker holds. And this really helped my ego, because it was like, oh, you didn't use assist mode, so like that one minor assist doesn't count as a major assist, which I think is just an interesting way of them defining it. But I was lying in bed, I get to the summit, and what happens at the top? You just start climbing into the stars, and then you just keep going, and then the synthy music just starts coming in so hard, and then all of a sudden Ava like changes into like a shooting star, and you're just like ping, and it's just like this synthy, most surreal, awesome vibes. I'm just sitting there in this pitch black room with my headphones on, and I'm just like, I'm going to turn this music up because this is so good. And I think the implication is like she passes out, she dies, she does it. She completes it.
She becomes a legend in the stars, basically.
She becomes one with the world. And what's the saying that it says right at the top? It says become a whole again or something. Like I think she says at the start of the game, like I just need to find my whole or become whole again. Or I can't remember what the phrase is. But the button QTE interaction at the very top at the summit is like become whole again. I wish I could remember what the exact line is.
I can't remember either.
Yeah, I took a screenshot on my Steam Deck, but
yeah,
what a damn finish. I just think this game is spectacular, and that ending is so. I think the whole story of Ava is very sad, because I would argue like this game is also telling you the message, and specifically that climbers like. And the two endings are very much like the mountain always wins. Like, if Ava goes back down the mountain, is living with people, she's not happy. Equally, if she goes for the mountain, she's going to die. Like, there's not really... And reading stuff online, like, supposedly this is something that lots of climbers face, is like, they are not happy and satisfied unless they are essentially, like, risking their lives constantly. So, like, it's kind of tragic in a way. But equally, like, her view is being down there is not living. Like, if you're alive, you have to live, and like this is her way of living. So like I think
this is it's very debate. Expedition 33.
It's incredibly Expedition 33. I totally agree.
Although in this case, I actually like this versus Expedition 33, where I do not.
There's no good endings, but equally, I think that I think both endings were good in their own way, because I think going back down the mountain. You are going back down with Marco, and you see Marco in the credits. You're climbing back down with him. So it's implied he does make it down, which I think is nice. So like, I just think it's an incredible game. I am so impressed by this game, and just had to get my final thoughts out here in a spoilery context.
Yeah, it's very good. I think that final climb definitely is challenging, but I think you're right. The game wants you to finish it, and so it is giving you those allowances right at the end in order to do so.
And a lot of it is walking up steep, snowy inclines.
Yes,
it's not actually climbing, which I think gave me a bit more encouragement. It's like, oh, phew, it's not just climbing vertical.
No. But you do walk very slow.
You walk very slow.
It is saying just, we're going to take our time here with this final bit,
We are creating a moment. You are going to stop and take this all in, which you are forced to do. I also think that ice pick climbing I really got into by the end. And
we didn't talk about ice pick climbing because it comes in quite late. I found it a little awkward because transitioning sometimes between walls that were...
The transition wasn't much fun.
Yeah, I think that is the part of it that I found frustrating. And there was one moment where for some reason I thought I had glitched out, but I lost one of the picks in my hand when I was doing the pick climbing, so I couldn't climb high enough because one hand had a pick and another one didn't. And I was like, is this a glitch, or is this like because I fell I dropped one? Like, I couldn't really tell. So yeah, that was odd.
I'm convinced that the ice pick climbing is faster because I swear her range is just so much longer that you are like able to get up quite far distances in much shorter spaces of time. That's my theory.
That makes sense because it's like an extension of your arm. It goes further. So I think that logically tracks.
It just had like a really nice sound design, like feeling like
it's satisfying.
It was. I enjoyed that stuff.
I didn't like it as much as regular climbing though. Like, I felt like I was betraying climbing by doing it. It's
a bold move. Them putting in a new mechanic in essentially the final fifth of the game. It's a risk, but equally, I think they would have come under criticism from the climbing community if they ignored ice. Maybe,
yeah, right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm just spitballing, but I'm glad it's in there. I can appreciate if you're just keen on climbing up to that point. It's throwing quite a spanner in the works in that sense. So.
Yeah, totally. I didn't tell you. So there was a moment where I turned on assist, but I never ended up getting pinged for using it. So this is what happened.
Interesting.
I get to the top area, the area where you meet the guy, and then you're like, should I go up? Should I not? And then go down with Marco. Right before that area is a broken bridge, okay? And I get to this broken bridge, and I have not saved in 45 minutes. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't really think about it too much. I was like, right, I've got one chance to get over. Hopefully I do it. I don't. I fall down and I die. And I was like, fuck my life. But then in my backpack, something pings. It's the fucking flower.
Yes.
It's a fairy that rewinds you and puts you back. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? This is crazy. And so it rewound me back to that point right before the jump. And I was like, right, I don't want to lose all this progress. This is really fucking stupid, but I'm going to turn on the assist that lets you rewind if you fall, which is one of the assists.
Yeah.
And I go for the jump, and I'm like, if I don't make this, I'm just going to rewind because I'm not doing 45 minutes again. And I jump, and I make it to the other side, and I never had to use it, and I turn it off again, you know? So I had it in the back of my pocket of like, if I did fuck up a second time, but I'm very glad I didn't.
I used that flower by accident when I had a random fall, and it redid it, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'll keep going. I didn't have a 45-minute save difference. I had like, I don't know, 18 minutes, which is...
No, dude, like it felt like it was destined, you know? Like, I had this thing in my pocket for so long, and I had no idea what it did.
I think they do it on purpose. Like, the timing where you get that flower is quite close to that section, and then they kind of hide those save points a bit, so it's implied you need to go to jump over that thing to get to the cutscene, so... They knew what they were doing. It's
I think
crafty.
They did. It just made it such a moment of like, oh fuck, I can't believe it, and then like the elation of like, oh my God, I have this magic thing that just like saved my life basically. But yeah, I think both of us on the end screen had one rewind, and it was that for both of us. I think. No,
exactly. So, and you did the whole thing without any troglodyte pitons. Like I got.
Yeah, I didn't get any troglodytes.
I got 2 out of 3 troglodyte pitons, which are the pitons that don't break, and you can. You can smash them into hard rock, not just regular rock. And you can
That's fucking
You can
insane.
do it instantly, not even have to do the minigame.
Guess you were playing the baby version of this game.
I was playing. Well, in my defense, what they do nicely is it's hard work to get those troglodyte pitons. Like it's an investment to get it, and then a big reward, which I think is the perfect kind of collectible. It's like... Yes, it's cheap and cheating in a way because it is so good, but they're saying, right, but you have to risk it all to get them. And one of them I had to turn back on because I kept dying, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I know exactly the one I turned back on and then came back. I also never got the glow in the dark limb gloves and shoes you can get.
I didn't know those existed either. So, I played a pretty hardcore version. But the thing is, by the end, I still had 6 pitons. So, just
that's
saying,
very impressive.
Someone's a professional out here.
I got very piton heavy. Like, the elation getting to the summit, I just think... I've not felt like that in a video game in a long time. Like, that was just such a feeling. And then... Once you've beaten the game, you can go back in your file and go right to the start of the game.
I was going to ask if you did this, if you did the flyover to go through. It's so cool. It's so good.
And you can see every single... And when Ava's like struggling, the line will turn more red from green.
Mate, just go to the fucking flat wall that everyone hates and you can just see the pain on that wall of like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Just like the constant falls. It's just crazy.
But it's just... such a clever inclusion in this game. This game is just, it's really special to me. Like, I just absolutely loved it, and that just added to that. Going from the feeling of all the synth music and being a shooting star, and then be like, I've done it. I'm going to go back to the start of my journey and look all the way through. It's just like this weird therapeutic feeling after doing such this incredible struggle to get to. Like, it's just so clever.
You also just like remember all the moments along the way, right? Of like, oh right, I remember trying to get up there and failing and walking around the other way and going up this other route instead.
I did also beat this game in like 6 days or something stupid. Like, I was just so hooked on like I think I played like 3-4 hours a day for like 4 or 5 days in a row. It was just crazy. It was very compelling. I did the same thing, right? Like, when it gets its hooks in, it definitely doesn't let go. I am so impressed this resonated with you, MBZ. I was very skeptical after the first few hours, but I am, especially when I got to that vertical wall. I was like, I'm not sure MBZ's gonna want to do. I know he can do it, but is he gonna want to do it? I'm not. So
by that point, I was fully invested, right?
Yes.
And like, I think if you had given me that in the first couple of hours, I would have said fuck this game and walked away probably. But because it smartly builds the level design up to that point, you know, like I think it makes sense. So
they know exactly what they're doing with every single tricky part of that game. And they know
sure.
what they're doing with the location of like the troglodyte pitons and the location of all the other collectibles and that flower that then revived you. Like they know what things you're going to bump into. Like it's just very, very impressive design.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway,
great.
Cairn.
Well, that's Cairn. I'm sure we'll talk about it more this year.
I'm gonna go. I want to do some more hiking. I need to see some more mountains.
Get those boots. Yeah. We will be back after this a little bricky break with your emails. We'll be right back.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the second part of today's show. We have not done this in a little while. It is time for emails. If you would like to send an email into the show like these fine folks have, please email ThisNintendoLife@gmail.com. That is ThisNintendoLife@gmail.com. We also have a channel on our Discord server. Go over to that channel. It's called Emails. Post a comment, a question, and we might get to on the show. That'd be great. Our first email this week is from Flapjackal. This is actually on Discord. Says, with my recent start of Blade Chimera and the joyful discovery of being able to remap every button to where I want, I figured I'd bring up the question to you guys. If you could set your actions on the standard controller, 4 face buttons, 2 triggers, 2 bumpers, do you have any button layout preferences? A or B button jumper, or maybe a bumper jumper from Halo days of old? Special actions on triggers or on the face? Where do you guys fall?
It is a good era that we live in now, for the most part, I'll say, in terms of the ability to do this. I think there's obviously certain companies, Nintendo, who don't let you do this, generally speaking. One of the things that I thought was crazy was, they added button remapping for NSO games like 4 years into those existing. Like, you couldn't do it before that.
Can you button remap on Smash Brothers?
You know what? Probably, but that's because Sakurai is like one of the only people at Nintendo who
they roll out the red carpet for him. He can do what he wants. He owns Nintendo. He gets his 2 40-minute directs.
Right. So like Sakurai plays a lot of video games, and so he does things for his games that Nintendo generally don't think about because they don't. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like likely that is the case. But yeah, generally speaking, it's a thing that as kids we probably got used to not being able to do this, and generally speaking, this wasn't an option back in the day.
Yeah.
Controllers and actually platforms at this point do have like console-wide changes, but the issue with that is like doing that changes for one game is going to be annoying if you play a different game, so it's not the most ideal of scenarios. Obviously, when I first started playing on PC, I was like, oh, this is crazy. I can just click anything on the keyboard and make it whatever I want to. And for the most part, that was the case with controllers as well. I do have a specific setup that I like, which I tend to change. When I'm playing older games on, Switch Online, I'm doing this with Wario World, actually. It's a good example, where Nintendo traditional button controls is A to jump and B to, like, attack or punch.
Yeah.
And the way that my thumb lays across controllers, we all know, weird way.
People don't know. This is a podcast. They need to see a visual representation of the way that your thumb goes across a game controller, because it's unique.
Well, they're in luck, Bally, because there's a video on my YouTube channel that shows exactly this. I I think it's called How I Hold Controllers or something. If you just search that on my YouTube channel, you should find it.
Get it in the description. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, all right. Gosh, now you telling me I have to remember a thing to do when I post this after editing on Sunday. But anyway, yes, I kind of like have my thumb resting across two buttons simultaneously, which is the bottom button on a controller and the left hand button on a controller. You know, obviously
you press the buttons with your joint. You don't press them with your finger.
I usually press the bottom button with a joint and then the other button with. So when I'm like playing a action game where I'm jumping and attacking, and sometimes I'm jumping and then attacking midair, it's very easy to like roll basically my joint and thumb onto those two buttons. So what I often will do is, and I did this with my recent Metroid Fusion playthrough on my handheld emulation thing on the train, was I change the bottom button to jump and the left button to attack, which is different from the right button is jump and the bottom button is attack, because just the way that it flows is so much smoother. So that is pretty consistent. If I'm playing a platformer or an action game, if it's not already with that layout, I will change it to that layout. Now, the good thing is most modern games that do that already have that as the default layout, because I think it is pretty natural for most people. But if it's an older game, I will always go back and make that specific change. There's stuff on Steam Deck that I do, which is mainly getting rid of the touch screen being an issue. So I go into the Steam Deck control settings and turn off touchscreen as a universal.
It's because you like to be able to wipe the touchscreen with your hand, you were telling me.
Correct.
And
yes.
It reacts. And yeah.
Exactly. If I try and wipe it and I accidentally do something, it really annoys me. So I turn on a universal action for every game I play on Steam Deck, which is to turn the touchscreen off, which is nice because it means that when you're in the game, it's off, but when you're out of the game, it still works, so you can menu through with touchscreen if you want to.
Okay, so if this happened, if you had an issue on your phone and you wanted to wipe the screen, what would you do?
Yeah, I lock it and then I wipe it.
Right, that's what I do with a Steam Deck.
Yeah, but it's different with a Steam Deck.
Why is it different?
Because you're in the middle of gameplay and you don't want to, every time you shut it, there's enough downtime of like, ooh, we're going to do the logo, put you down. Then when you're booting up, it's like, okay, boot up again. Like the thing with locking and unlocking a phone is it's a millisecond. It happens in an instant versus locking a Steam Deck, which takes about 5 to 7 seconds every time.
This is a very narrow point you're making, but I hear what you're saying.
It's not a narrow point. It's about convenience. It's about convenience and flexibility and about, access and Steam Deck. Why would I do that? Stupid. It's much easier to do this. Anyway, that's my main things that I change. I have tried to use the back bumpers on the Switch 2 Pro controller, which are really easy to bind, by the way. You can very quickly open up the home menu while you're in a game on the side and just quickly rebind the back button to whatever you want it to be. There have been times where I've remapped it to the left back bumper, so that I can basically hold the controller with my left hand and menu through dialogue and then do choices with the stick, and then basically if I'm like picking up a drink, then I can do that while menuing through dialogue still by having the A button on that, for example. So there are certain good uses for it that I find, but I don't know, Bally, it seems like if you generally don't do this in terms of... So there's other specific things that I always make sure are on specific buttons. So the R button I use for dash in games. If a game has dash on a different button, like B, for example, in Hades 2, I did this in Hades 1 as well. And I try and do it before I get used to the game, because God of War, I made the mistake of playing God of War without remapping. And then I tried to remap it and I'm like, I can't. My brain has started to adjust to their new weird way of controlling.
Which God of War?
I think 2018 and Ragnarok. I have to play with X being dodge, their weird fucking control scheme, because my brain had adapted to it. And so I would have liked to change it to circle being dodge and X being the interact button so that you can like climb ledges and things. But my brain had played, like if you play 3 or 4 hours of a game and you've gotten used to it, then it's hard to go back. But if you do it right at the start of a game before you start playing it and you're like, this feels wrong, and you change it, then you'll be fine. And so Hades 1 immediately changed dash to R and put other stuff on B, and then same with Hades 2, immediately changed it. So if you do that from the start, then it's much easier. So like my platforming, like movement focused brain is jump on the bottom button, attack on the left button, and dash on the R button. And if I have those 3 things, I'm pretty consistent across games, and I did that with Hollow Knight as well, I want to say. So yeah, it's that's my kind of like mantra when it comes down to it. Bally, are you more vanilla and roll with what the game gives you?
I'm very vanilla. I agree with you entirely on, like, once you've played 2-3 hours of a game, I feel like I can just learn any control scheme, and if I'm not jumping between a million games, which I guess that's a good argument actually, you jump between games a lot more than me, like, this is something that never really bothers me, and I really don't remap that much at all. I'll like do my preferred control scheme at something like Smash Brothers or this kind of thing, but other than that, I can't really remember the last time I remapped a button. And I think that for me, where do I like my buttons? I like something that was very revolutionary for me was obviously buying PlayStation 4 in 2018, and God of War 2018 was the first game I played on that. I think that's the first game where like attack has been a shoulder button for me. Like, I think before that, that's just not how Nintendo games operate, and most games at the time.
It's not how a lot of games operated up until that point.
Totally. So like having heavy and light attacks on the R2 and R1, giving you the freedom of your right thumb to move the camera and then press the 4 face buttons. I just think that's an incredibly elegant design system that I think has lasted to this day. Like, I think it's just become the norm, especially for 3D games and AAA games.
Yeah, I believe that comes from Souls games, actually. I believe that's where it originates, is the R1, R2, and has been adapted by every action game since then, because, yeah, that's kind of like the thing that makes sense to have your other finger on the stick, right? So you can control camera while still being good at the action. And I think if you didn't have that, you'd have to have more of like, I mean, lock-on still exists in games like that, but I think that was more relied upon in previous generations for, you know, keeping your focus on the character that you're fighting at the same time.
It also allows you, like you said, with the dodge in God of War, like using the X button as a quick dodge and then straight into attack is much quicker than, say, X button to dodge and then square to attack. Like, you can just do using 2 different fingers. It's just quicker, it's more elegant, and I just think it's a really smart design.
Yeah, you're right. Not using the same finger for that makes it a lot more instant and snappier, I think, and reactive as well. So in like quick action scenarios, you're able to get that stuff done relatively.
Makes me wonder, like, what was the logic behind triggers and what was the first use? Was it the accelerator on a car, or was it a gun? It definitely wasn't accelerating on a car, because I'm pretty sure I've played like Gran Turismo on PlayStation where you're accelerating with like X button. Like, I think
it was absolutely, because I think we didn't really figure out aiming down sights and using the other trigger for shooting until the 360 era, I want to say, right? Like, it wasn't until Halo
Halo's not got the
I guess sights. Halo was in that generation before, wasn't it, with the original Xbox? So I guess that was the first point at which that would have happened. But, you know, Gran Turismo was from the PlayStation 1 days, so it would have been different. I think the PlayStation 1 Gran Turismo probably used X to accelerate.
Yeah, no, it was definitely.
So yeah, so it wasn't until probably PS2 when they started to try that stuff. Obviously GameCube, you know, with stuff like Wave Race and F-Zero. I don't think, as far as I know, they were still using the face buttons for acceleration on that, even though it would make sense to use the...
I think Wave Race Blue Storm... I want to say it was the R button, because it's got a... there's like because it's a... What do you call it? It's an analog trigger. Like, you can vary the amount of gas you're giving your wave.
That's why I was wondering, is if those games used it or not.
Let me quickly have a Google.
Yeah. Everyone who was doing third-party games, I believe, in the racing format on GameCube would have used those for that purpose, I think. I think Burnout probably would have used the analog triggers. That would have made some sense.
I think A buttons accelerate in Blue Storm, so I'm just making that up.
Okay, yeah. So I think that Nintendo were not using it, but third parties probably were at that point in time, which makes some sense. But
I remember playing Smuggler's Run on GameCube, and the R trigger was not used for accelerate. The R trigger was used. I think I've said this on the show before. Do you know what I'm about to say?
I can't remember.
Okay, so the R trigger was used to fade in and fade out the map while you're driving.
Right.
Which I think is a very good use of like the analog trigger system.
Yes. And then I would have said on the show before, just to repeat ourselves, because we're just a show that says the same thing for 10 years, is that Xenoblade 3 also implements this I think the click of the stick it is, where it overlays the map.
Normally I say something like Mario Sunshine and how you
can and here we are just repeating the same words back at each other for a millennium. That's interesting. I think, back in the day, it was much more of a Wild West with what buttons did what on a controller. There was so much less consistency, and it feels like these days, generally, if you understand how to play a certain genre of game, the buttons are going to be mapped in a way that tracks logically based on every other game that exists in that genre space, right? Like, there's a shared language, I think, at this point in time, to where you're usually fine. But sometimes people like Supergiant do a weird thing and they don't put dash on R, and I have to change it because that seems insane to me. So, yeah.
It's interesting watching someone like Bally Jr. switch between Astrobot into Kirby into Donkey Kong, and they've all got different jump buttons. I think Kirby's jump is B and jump in DK is A, because you've got the 3 levels of punching: up, down, up, middle, down. So, yeah, and just watch it because he's playing one game at a time.
Is he using Joy-Cons for the Nintendo games or a Pro Controller?
He's using the Pro Controller. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so he's not on little Joy-Con boys over there. He's
no.
Wow.
I also don't really want them touching those. So I'm like,
okay,
they're that part of this.
I mean, you could give him Switch 1 Joy-Cons, right? Like old Switch 1 Joy-Cons.
I would just need to. I would need to get them synced in, and then they would still need to charge on an original Switch. So it's just a little bit extra faff.
That's true, because you don't have like an easy way of charging those these days.
You can only plug them into a Switch 1 on a Switch dock to charge them.
Or if you owned the very special dog fucking controller that had a charger in it.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy one of those special things for a Switch 1.
Or, go third party. That always works out well,
No, when he's a little bit older, I want him to have his own controller, and it can be like his thing that he looks after and he always uses and I'll never use, and then if he gets juice on it or some crap, then I can be like, well, it's yours. And you can,
if he's watching a comedian on the telly and accidentally spits cranberry juice on it, then that's it. It's done for.
Or in case he gets a bit of dirt on his controller and wants to wash it in the sink and accidentally,
yeah,
who would do that?
Exactly. No one would do that. Not on this show. Never. Yeah, great, fantastic. Well, that was a good question about buttons. I liked it. Thanks, Flapjackal.
Our next question's from PerryFan74 from Discord, and this was actually from the start of the year, so we're getting to it a bit late, but it says, I know this question is generic as it comes. What games that we know of are you most excited for this year? For me, it's Neo 3, but also Pokemon Pokopia, both Tecmo Koei games, ironically. I'm excited for these games because, to me, they are known quantities, i.e. the third game in a franchise I love and a game with a similar gameplay style and dev team from previous games I enjoyed. What are some games set to release this year that we know very little about that you are interested to learn more about? For me, games like Romeo is a Dead Man from Suda51, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, and the Dusk Bloods, God, that's hard to say, have my interests peaked, but I need and look forward to more information on them. Finally, to turn this discussion on its head, are there any games that you are de-hyped for? Games that make you immediately check out? It is GTA 6 for me. Call me hipster or just plain contrarian, that series just never excited me, and if I'm being honest, a small part of me hopes it kinda underdelivers. Enough of the pessimism, excited for another year of TNL and of loving video games and all things Nintendo.
Perry fan, you're in safe company here because GTA 6 definitely not on my radar. Definitely a de-hype for me on that one in particular. But yeah, obviously it's going to be the largest thing in human history in video games when it does come out. So look forward to hearing everybody talk about it. I think that happens sometimes with games where a big game comes out that I just have like negative interest in, and it takes over podcast for a while, and I'm just like, should I skip this, or I'm just going to sit here and listen to everybody? I guess when Resident Evil 9 comes out and we're like, okay, podcast's going to be boring for a week, I guess, because I literally have less than zero interest in a Resident Evil game. Yeah. So it's just, it's fine. I think it's okay. Everyone can enjoy it. It's all good. And that certainly is going to be the case for other people. When Fire Emblem comes out, there are going to be people being like, oh, it's so boring. What's everyone talking about this? So everyone has that thing. But yeah, it's... It's a minor inconvenience.
Thing with GTA is I've never really tried a GTA. So part of me is like, I need to try GTA. And that's how I felt about Red Dead Redemption, Red Dead 2 when it came out. And my biggest regret with Red Dead 2 was I was in this weird, like, I need to play it before Game of the Year so I can discuss it in this thing. And I think I spent 40, 50 hours in quite a short space of time, beat that game, really loved the story of the game. But then watching Caroline play it after me, and she just went at such a slow pace and just really took it in, tried the hunting, explored this, found this side quest, did this thing. And I was like, I wish I had experienced Red Dead 2 that way, where I just take it in slow, do a little bit over time. It's kind of like what I'm doing Witcher 3 right now. I'm not in like a rush, and I'm doing the side stuff that I'm interested in and just leaving the stuff I'm not. And if I get to the main plot in this time, if I beat that game this year, great. If I beat it next year, that's also great. But I'm just trucking along at my own pace. And I wish I'd done that with Red Dead 2. And it makes me intrigued for GTA 6, where I'm way more interested in the old Wild West, whatever Red Dead 2 is, than I am in like modern Florida and fictional Miami. So like, I think that will I be engaged enough in all of the side stuff that game has to offer to take it in slow, or will I just want to mainline the story? And I kind of like, I'm intrigued. Will I even want to do that? And will this game cost £100? Who knows? I don't know, but like, I'm intrigued. My point is, I think I just need to go into it with open eyes and potentially be prepared to like take that game slow and play it a lot next year, rather than try and, beat it for GOTY discussions or whatever. Like, I think that that's how I might approach it.
I mean, I'm not going to be playing it, so it's not even really necessary.
You're
for that,
sure right now you will not play GTA 6?
Well, the thing is, I probably will get access to it because of BAFTA stuff, right? Most likely. So I'll probably have access to it.
There's no reviewer or no score it could get that would make you be like, oh, actually, I need to... I'll play the first 4 hours of the story, and then if I'm enjoying it, I'll keep going. And
basically, Val, it depends on one thing. Does it feel like utter ass to move the character? If that is true, which, let me be clear, has been the case for every modern Rockstar game, fuck GTA 6. I don't care, because as soon as that is the case, as soon as I'm moving a guy and it feels like I'm walking through honey, I never want to touch it again. I just don't care. It's that on top of the fact that it's an urban setting that I'm just not that interested in. So look, if we live in this miracle world where it controls like Breath of the Wild, okay, I'll play GTA 6. That's not going to happen, right? We don't live in that reality. So I can't see myself playing it. It's just, I actively dislike playing Rockstar games. We'll see. Maybe miracles can happen.
Well, you could enjoy the Let's Play then, I guess. You could.
Yeah. The thing is, I'll get it through cultural osmosis as usual. I'll just absorb it, having never played it.
Because if you think podcasts are going to talk a lot about Resident Evil for like a week,
baby.
GTA 6 is going to be through until next year. It's going to be insane.
It will be insane.
I'm more interested in the talk around it than to play it myself, but I would quite like to try playing it myself. It's how I'm feeling at the moment.
We'll see. Okay, Bally, what about the games that you are excited to play this year and are interested in?
My most hyped game that has a release date for me is Forza Horizon 6. Obviously the one based in Japan, coming out 19th of May. That is going to be great. I don't think that game has to do anything crazy. I think just... they've already got enough good stuff going by that game that I'm going to be very invested in it and probably play it for 40, 50 hours and have a great time.
Now, the question is, Bally, will the game actually come out? Because according to Microsoft, it's all AI now. So as we learned on this episode of the podcast, it could get cancelled in like the next couple of months here.
Xbox have such a big year.
Great timing.
I'm really interested in Fable. Like, I think that sounds cool. And, it's just, I'm... Very, very sad times.
Yep. Obviously, my answer is Fire Emblem. I need to know more about it. We've had one trailer. It feels like it's going to be a summer game, and so I feel like in the next few weeks we'll get something Nintendo Direct adjacent that will start telling us about it, because they need to give us a release date for that and just tell us more about it. Honestly, I think they're going to do a Fire Emblem specific Direct. It feels like it's a big enough franchise at this point to deserve one, and I feel like...
And they don't have anything else to talk about.
Exactly. Well, at the moment, obviously they will announce more stuff, but yeah, I think we could get a Fire Emblem Direct like a month before it comes out. But before that, they'll have to do a trailer that talks a little bit about it, shows some stuff, and then says here's the release date, and that's when you start getting excited. But it's been a couple of years since Engage, 3 years maybe at this point in time, and Engage was pretty fucking forgettable as far as Fire Emblem games go. It was no Three Houses from like a lot of perspectives. I think honestly Engage was quite good from a tactics perspective, but I found myself in this weird place where it was way too easy on normal, and then hard was just a little frustrating, so I never found like a good balance with that game of what I wanted to play it on. So I still think Three Houses is kind of the high watermark in terms of the characters and the narrative stuff that it does. And obviously, certain people weren't a fan of the structure, including Bally on this podcast. But I think a lot of people loved it, and I think honestly that's why it was so successful, is the Persona style kind of calendar stuff, because it opened it to a brand new audience who very much liked that maintenance side of things, which I very much appreciate. And it sounds like this is really a sequel to that at the end of the day. So yeah, I want to know more, want to hear more. Also curious about Elliot the Millennium Dog.
Still need to try that demo.
The demo, yeah, we keep saying we'll play it for next time and never do, but one day we'll play it.
The game will come out. That game's coming out 18th of June, so still quite a while away.
Yeah, it's in June.
Time to play that demo.
Obviously, Castlevania got announced at the State of Play, and that will be coming to Switch, not Switch 2, though my hope is that they announce it for Switch 2 in a Nintendo Direct, so we'll see if that happens. But we're getting Castlevania and Bloodstained this year, which is very exciting, because I like both of those. So having a big Castlevania year for me. And then Beast of Reincarnation, I was quite curious about the Game Freak game. Yeah. I think it looks really interesting. That and Kana also both coming out in the same year is interesting, having both of those, because they feel like akin to each other as well, thematically and visually. So, yeah. And then my last one is Danganronpa 2x2, just to see the truth about it. What is it? Is it actually a remake of the second game? Who could fucking say? These people are lunatics, So I'm very curious about what that ends up being. So I will wait for reviews and see if people tell me.
So what if the reviews come out and they say we can't answer that question because spoilers? What do you do then?
No, if they can't answer that question, that means it's Danganronpa 4, Bally. If they say that, that tells me that what it is. In not saying it, they have said it. So,
right.
Yeah, I think I will know. So
I need to play the original Danganronpa 2 in order to then play Danganronpa 3, and then I need to go and play Danganronpa 2x2.
Well, I don't know yet. No one knows. It could be the case. I think the thing is with Danganronpa 2x2, even if it is secretly a sequel inside a thing, you will have a proper remade version of Danganronpa 2 if you wanted it. So if you just want to play vanilla...
I already own Danganronpa 2 as part of the problem.
I know, that is part of the problem. But if you wanted to, then you could play original Danganronpa 2. I just think this is also going to contain...
Right.
I mean, they've already said. They said it contains the original and also a different scenario, basically. Like a different take on Danganronpa 2. And it could very well be that that's very much what it is, which is just, here's a different set of events of Danganronpa 2, but that could also be a smokescreen for, okay, it starts as a different set of events for Danganronpa 2, but then it turns into something that's totally different, Yeah, there's a lot of possibilities here. Cool. So very fascinated about what that thing even is, to be honest with you. So, yeah. Anything else on your list? I'm
really looking forward to playing co-op with you, Orbitals.
Assuming
that game's good, that art style looks fire, and we always have a good time playing co-op. I think we want to play more Haze-likes, and I think that it's looking like one so far. We don't have an official release date, I don't think yet.
No, they said summer, I want to say, recently.
So that game's looking awesome.
Great. Anything else?
I'm very excited about Mina the Hollower. I'm super... I don't know. I need to see reviews. I think that it's another game I also need to play the demo for. But the more trailers I see and the more variety I see, we said before, it's a lot more than just Zelda. There's this heavy Castlevania influence, and I think the game might be a bit darker than Zelda traditionally has been, or at least like the Game Boy Zeldas. And that excites me. I think that this game could be a real indie hit of the year.
Yeah, potentially. It depends on quality, and I think it all comes down to that, right? If the game is like fine, then I think Yacht Club are in trouble because it's a genre that typically doesn't sell well. But if it's fantastic, amazing, one of the best games of the year, they'll be okay, right? Because I think any game can sell well if it is a breakout and is the thing that everyone says you have to play it, right? And so, yeah, I hope it is the latter for their sake, because it sounds like they're in a bit of trouble as a studio at the moment. So we'll see. So Slay the Spire 2 is coming to early access very soon, in a couple of weeks' time, so that's exciting. And then the other one is the new Plague Tale game that we really don't know anything about. There was one trailer last year. There was a cinematic, but I love those first two games. I really, really enjoyed playing both of them. So another one, new character, different time period. I'm very curious.
It's a spin-off.
It's kind of, well, it's a sequel spin-off. I think it's set different time period, so I don't know how many years. I think it's a prequel, I want to say. I think it's set 100 years before or maybe 100 years after. I'll have to look into that specifically, but it is not following. I'll just say that Plague Tale Requiem ends in a way that makes sense as to why they are doing this, because I wouldn't see a way for them to do a third one necessarily in that same lineage. So
I'd love to get to the first game this year.
You really should. I think you would have a really good time with it. I think the second game in particular, Requiem, that's as good as any Naughty Dog game in my book. I think it's fantastic from an acting perspective, from a writing perspective, from just a visual stunner perspective. It just looks fucking phenomenal. So yeah, that game in particular I think is outstanding. The first game is also very, very good. So yeah, definitely a good series to keep an eye out on. But yeah, there's lots of stuff coming, right?
Rhythm Heaven?
Yes, fuck. How could we forget Rhythm Heaven?
I've not seen that in a while.
No, I think that will probably show up in an early year direct as well. I'd be very curious to see what's going on with it, because I imagine, it's not a game that needs much more development time. It feels like they can make those relatively easily.
And a game you've played a lot of, but is meant to go to 1.0 this year, and hopefully a Switch 2 port, is Fields of Mystria. So I am also incredibly excited about that, having not played anything Stardew-like since Stardew, I think. I don't think I've played the farming sim.
Yeah, I think it is kind of the best Stardew-like out there at the moment. So definitely different, I will say. I think less focused on the farming and the economy of farming, more focused on relationships and building that stuff up, to be honest with you. So it is a bit distinct. It is a little bit different, but I do think it's still very good. There's qualms I have with it, which hopefully they have ironed out over the early access period. I often felt like I never could get enough done in a day, but in a bad way. In Stardew, it often feels like a good way, but I think the size of the town and the traversal and you being able to get back from somewhere, getting back from the mines in Fields of Mystria, feels like you need to give yourself a 3-hour window to get back, and that doesn't feel great. I think there's certain things and elements that they could refine about it to make it feel a little bit smoother, but it's still very, very good, and I did enjoy playing what I played of it when it came out into early access. So yeah, great. Well, I think that is going to do us for this episode. Thanks everybody for listening. Let's get on out of here and plug some things and stuff. Of course, we are supported by some wonderful folks on patreon.com/ThisNintendoLife. We'd like to thank some of our patrons, Mally.
Yes, thank you to our $10 tier plus patrons. They are Sullivan C, Zach S, Thomas, Matthew, Albert, Wicked Gamer UK Alan, Orange Thunder, Nintendo Man, Turtle, and Ali T. Thank you for your support, and thank you to also all of our other patrons. We really appreciate all the support you give the show. We released an episode of ThisNintendoLife. You can get access to that show for $1. We talked about the Sony PlayStation State of Play. Lots of announcements over there, and then we had a good old chat about how great Overwatch is right now, because we were having a good time with that. So go check that out.
Yeah, wondering if that will get announced, the Switch 2 version, at a potential Nintendo Direct as well.
Good chat.
I think that's possible.
Mouse controls. Will it have
mouse
them?
Control? 100%, of course, guaranteed.
Okay.
Take it to the bank. It's happening. So check that stuff out. And yeah, thanks everybody for supporting us over there. You can also find us over online, on the internet, they call it. The internet.
Online?
Online, they say, yes. You can find us, Blue Sky, I'm NBZ. Where can they find you, Bally?
I'm at Ballyman91. That's BALLYMAN91 on Blue Sky.
Great. And you can find the podcast account there as well, at TNL Podcast. Go follow it. That'd be great. And yeah, you can find the show in various places. We're on Spotify, we're Stitcher. You can download us everywhere that podcasts are in existence. And you can also review us, by the way. You can do that. That's great. If you want to do it, that'd be really nice. We'd appreciate it. Be very good. And I think that's about it. Bally, actually, do you want to remind us once more, if people want to send those emails in, where can they send them to?
Please email thisnintendolife@gmail.com. That is thisnintendolife@gmail.com. There's also a channel on our Discord server. That channel is called Emails. Go and pop a question in there as well.
Yeah, I had a few people suggesting potential Backlog Club options as well. So if you have some more of those, feel free to let us know. We'll look at the calendar and see what makes sense. There's definitely going to be some points, I think, this year that will be open for potentially doing another Backlog Club. So we'll try and find a spot and let you guys know when that's happening. Please do give us your suggestions as well. And I think that is going to do it for us. Good stuff. I'm going to go and watch people talk about this Xbox stuff now because it's kind of off the handle. And maybe we'll discuss that on our Nintendo episode next time, Bally, I guess.
We could do it.
See if
quick
the
little bonus bits after or something.
Oh, we could do bonus bits on it. Yeah, okay. Watch out. If you're a patron, bonus bits coming on that earth-shattering news.
For $2. $2.
Yes. But until then, thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you soon, very soon. Until then, bye-bye. The musical interlude used on today's show was Greenhorn Forest from Wario World. Copyright Nintendo 2003.